But radiation kills both bad and good, it cannot differentiate. So to cure you, that must kill you. The sword of Damocles hangs above your head.
Lou Reed was an American singer, songwriter and guitarist. He was the lead guy for the band The Velvet Underground, who had a lot of fuss made about them retrospectively. That was between 1965 and 1973, and they were managed by Andy Warhol. They did have reunions later, but Lou Reed then embarked on a solo career, which started in 1972, which was very successful. He was best known for his single Take a Walk on the Wild Side, and he released 20 solo albums before he died in 2013. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a mini review of Lou Reed's album Magic and Loss. So this was his 16th solo studio album, and it's my first time listening to it. It's actually only about 2 weeks since I reviewed one of his earlier albums, The Blue Mask. So for me, the transition time here is, say, a couple of weeks. For him, it was 10 years in his life. And why am I referring to that? Because there's, in some ways, there's some similarities. It's the same artist, so you kind of imagine there might be. It's quite varied singer-songwriter rock, and musically mixed from stripped back stuff of tracks like Harry's Circumcision to full-on rock of tracks like Warrior King, to an almost Kashmir-like sound. Now, by that I mean the Led Zepp track of Sword of Damocles, which is probably musically my favourite track on the album. It's actually the fourth Lou Reed album that I've reviewed on the channel so far, and you can see from the score that I've reasonably liked it. It's the one that I've liked the most. It's the first one of his to get in the sevens. So theoretically, because this list that I'm working through is the 3,000 greatest albums of all time, according to a whole lot of critics, then as I go through the albums, they should be getting better as we go through. And certainly this one is better than some of the previous ones, in my opinion, for Lou Reed. So I'm kind of hoping to see, because there's plenty more Lou Reed to come, I shall see where we come to. So apparently initially this album was going to be about magic. He'd heard some stories about magicians in Mexico and was going to do an album about that, but it ended up being mostly about loss. So that, hence the name of the album, Magic and Loss. Specifically, two friends of Lou Reed's died during the process of making this album. At least one of them, maybe both, from cancer. I'm picking up that there's cancer involved from the lyrics of the songs. So, Robert Christgau is probably the most quoted critic that I've seen on Wikipedia sites. He's been a critic, very well regarded, has been a critic for years and years. So he said about this, he described this as having Reed's uninteresting views on death, and he wasn't a great fan. I'm inclined to be less unimpressed, because I think that this feels fairly honest as an album, which in my mind is, certainly on this occasion, I think is more important than interesting. When you're dealing with death, then do you want somebody who's got, a weird, different take on it? Or do you want somebody to just say what they're feeling about loss, and then create songs that other people might be able to resonate with? And so, kind of side thing, I think one of the things that music, songs particularly, does best is expressing things that people feel in articulate ways that maybe not everybody can actually articulate themselves, but when they hear it, it resonates with them, and they feel like that's a kind of cathartic thing where they feel like what they feel is being expressed by somebody else. It makes them feel a connection, but it also helps them work through the feelings, I would say. So I think, stuff about death is potentially really worthwhile. Unlike Blue Mask, I try not to do too much kind of comparisons with previous albums or other things. It is just in my mind that Blue Mask I didn't like particularly well at all. But I do like this album, and I think one of the differences for me is that he feels fully engaged with this, where in Blue Mask he felt quite disconnected from what he was doing. Lou Reed's voice is very distinctive, as always. I guess most people know what it's like, and you can hear the stuff at the start and the end of the video, so you'll know what it sounds. He's got a huge presence to his voice. I guess in some ways he's lucky with what he was given in terms of his natural voice. It's got a rich sound, and it comes across really well. It cuts through nicely. There's a lot of talk singing and bits of talking as well in here. It's just his style and the way he does it. And it's always really well forwards in the mix and always the centre of attention. And this is good, I think. So I've just done a review of an Always album, and I was saying I don't really hear the words sometimes in some albums. Lou Reed's albums, you hear the words. They are the centre of attention. This is definitely the case here. And it's a good thing here because these songs are definitely worth listening to, I would say. His natural voice sound is actually kind of cynical and laconic. Maybe that's just a connection that I've made with others earlier of his work, but I do feel that it's just kind of got this. Yeah, I'm a kind of cool guy who's poking fun at the world kind of thing, which makes his voice less suited to such personal songs, I would say. So that's a bit of a negative. Also, he has a bit of a style where writing the lyrics, sometimes the flow of words is a bit awkward in the way. I noticed this more on the Blue Mask, and I think it must be just the way he writes, I guess. So there are a couple of criticisms there for me, but otherwise, so subject matter musically in quite a few ways. I found this to be quite an engaging album, so I liked it. And as always, at this time, I'd like to invite you to tell me what you think of this album by leaving me a comment in the comments below. And that's it from me for now.
I was visited by the power and the glory. I was visited by a majestic hymn. Great bolts of lightning lighting up the sky, electricity flowing through my veins. I was captured by a larger moment.